Well, first of all, tonight I'd like to congratulate all this year's inductees. To be part of a list of people like Bucky Dent, Jack McKeon, Louis Tion, Ian Anderson. I just want to say it's an absolute privilege and honor to be associated with this year's induction class. Not unlike anybody else in this room, your love of this game doesn't necessarily start overnight. It might take a few nights, but then you're hooked, and it continually evolves from there. It begins with your family, your parents, your brother, your sister, and moves right on down to your own family, coaching your kids in Little League and Babe Ruth and softball, and sharing your love and experience for the game with them as well as their teammates in the hopes that they grow to love the game as much as you do. When I was a kid, I used to get up in the morning, go downstairs, grab a good healthy breakfast of Cocoa Puffs or Sugar Pops, run out the door, grab my glove, hop on my bike, slide that glove onto the handlebars of my bike, ride up to the local general store to meet my buddies for our pre-game ritual. We'd go in there and get a couple of pieces of bazooka, a Coke, a couple of packs of baseball cards. We'd go outside, open up those baseball cards with the hopes of finding a Mickey or a Willie or a Roberto or whomever your favorite player was. You might sit there and trade a few. And there was always somebody, invariably on the pile of cards, that none of us knew. So as much as he was a bona fide Major League ball player, he probably ended up on a clothespin on the spokes of his bike. Anyway, it was, back in those days, the baseball cards used to come in a flat stick of bubble gum. Awful stuff, hard, like a stone. It was like chewing a credit card. But somehow you'd manage to jam about 2 or 3 pieces in your mouth, work that into a nice cavity causing a lot of gum on your teeth, and pretend you were a big leaguer. You'd sit there like you had a load of Red Man or Levi Garrett in your mouth. We tried that stuff too, and it didn't work out real well for us. Anyway, you sit there and learn that fine art of spitting that was always part of baseball, and your mother was so proud of you when you learned that habit. When we get like 3 or 4 guys together, we might go and try to play a game, but you had to kind of be creative. You had to have ghosties for runners, or in one instance at my good buddy Richard's house, we would have to kind of designate which side of second base you were going to hit the ball on so you could position your players accordingly. And if you hit on the other side, it was an automatic out. But somehow we made it work, and the defensive shift was working just fine 55 years ago. In the most cases, it was maybe 1 or 2 of us. We'd roam down to the park, we'd search the trash can first of all to see if we could find a broken bat that we could glue and screw later on and repurpose. Play a little infield, a little outfield, or maybe we'd go over and we'd have a wiffle ball championship derby, or we'd sit there and with my good buddy Brad, we would, 58 years ago, we would chalk an outline of a strike zone on the back of our grade school and play wall ball. God, I love those days. It was so much fun. But it's time when you get a little older, you want to get a new glove. And I'll never forget the first real glove I got. It was a McGregor, Luis Aparicio autograph glove. And Luis Aparicio was my favorite player and a great shortstop. I used to sleep with that glove. There were times I would wake up in the morning with that glove over my face like a gas mask. The smell of that leather is in my mind forever. Probably the first real wake-up call I got in baseball where it changed my whole outlook was in Little League, and I was a cocky 10-year-old, pulled some chucklehead move that lost the game for us. And I'll never forget looking at my teammates and seeing how dejected they were. I felt awful. I was thoroughly mortified. And I swore from that day forward and realized most of all that this game wasn't necessarily just about me. I still wanted to be the best, but most of all I wanted to be a good teammate and play the game the right way. To me, this game was all about taking the field with my teammates and supporting them through thick or thin. My own personal accomplishments really meant nothing unless I contributed to a win. The one thing about amateur ball was you didn't have to worry about getting traded or designated for assignment or put on waivers. unless you didn't bring a cold cooler of beer. If you didn't bring beer, then all bets were off, and you could be back with the cellar schlubs the next spring. There's just something about sitting around a locker room or a dugout or even a field-side lawn chair for hours and sharing stories and a few libations. It's just where the bonds and the memories and the stories, the stories, and everybody in here has got them. It's the bonds that you generate that turns into probably the most magnificent brotherhood I could ever say I'm so proud to be a part of. In closing, I'd really like to thank my family and friends, some of which came from out of state to be here with me tonight. To my wife, who I really don't have enough time to express my gratitude, other than to say thanks for putting up with a third child for the last 40 years, who has refused to put the damn glove down. But for her, she's just been a rock through this whole process. And to her, I really appreciate all the years that you've supported me. I love you, Mom. To my brothers, Georgia Rafferty, David Mitchell, Michael Gerard, Tommy Maney, Ronnie Mazzaroni, and a host of other guys, and every teammate that I've ever had the pleasure to take the field with, thank you for some wonderful years. You guys are absolutely the main reason why I love this game. To Rennie, you're the best. To the staff and to everybody here tonight, thank you for a very memorable evening. Appreciate it.